stocks tumble, triggering another automatic shutdown on trading after the president imposes new travel bans to maintain public calm.
It's a world problem, and you do need separation in some cases.
The ripple effect, sweeping the airlines, grounding White House and Capitol tours, and the NBA.
The game tonight has been postponed.
Suspending the rest of the season.
Okay.
The latest on the global effort to contain the coronavirus and more tonight on Faith Nation.
The Fed infusing $1.5 trillion to keep credit flowing. Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Welcome to Faith Nation. I'm Jenna Browder.
And I'm John Jessup. We begin tonight with the coronavirus world pandemic.
From its shifting epicenter in Italy to newly declared states of emergency to limiting access to the U.S. Capitol. Eric Phillips is here with these developments and more. Eric?
Jenna and John, while President Trump says the coronavirus doesn't stand a chance, other voices are questioning that assessment when testing is limited.
32 is a lot. 32 is too many. But when you look at the kind of numbers that you're seeing coming out of other countries, it's pretty amazing.
From the Oval Office Thursday, President Trump talked about American deaths due to COVID-19 and defended stopping travel first from China and now parts of Europe.
But we think we'll reestablish very quickly once this ends, and it's just a question of time, and I think it'll go pretty quickly.
Still, the president's pushing for a $700 billion payroll tax cut, a proposal falling flat among Democrats. It follows last week's passing of an $8.3 billion spending package aimed at battling the coronavirus. Experts testifying those measures do little to help small businesses or their employees.
My greatest concern is these people in these small businesses will go to work with coronavirus. The shopkeeper will want to keep this business open because they don't have the funds to keep the office closed for 14 days. The worker will not report that she has coronavirus because she probably doesn't have sick leave.
Now, as potential cases grow, testing still seems increasingly limited, a problem some other countries don't have.
The system is not really geared to what we need right now, what you are asking for. That is a failing.
And failing, yes.
It is a failing. The idea of anybody getting it easily, the way people in other countries are doing it, we're not set up for that. Do I think we should be? Yes, but we're not.
Meanwhile, in New Rochelle, New York, the National Guard on the job after the governor established a perimeter to hopefully contain the number of exploding cases there. One shop owner labeling an area as a safe zone where people can buy things like wipes and Lysol.
You sense a sense of panic from the consumer, you sense worry, and of course that translates over to us, the employees and management. We're concerned as well. Universities
are closing their doors because of the pandemic, including Ohio State. Taylor Class says spring break this week will be followed by online classes only, but she and others are there doing lab work.
It's mostly been confusion, just because we don't know exactly what precautions we're supposed to take and if we should be here or if we're allowed to be here. I feel safe, yes, especially since there's no confirmed cases in Columbus right now, and just being sure to wash my hands a lot.
And late this afternoon, we have learned that all K through 12 public schools in Ohio will close for 3 weeks starting on Monday. Again, all public schools in Ohio closed for 3 weeks starting on Monday. Also, the National Hockey League, Major League Baseball, and Major League Soccer all suspending their seasons today because of the growing threat. That follows the NBA that did the same thing yesterday. Jenna and John.
All right, Eric Phillips, thank you very much. Well, on Capitol Hill, there have been a lot of developments over the last 24 hours or so. We want to bring in Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson to discuss some of these developments. Abigail, let's start with the staffer who tested positive. What can you tell us about this person?
Well, news broke last night that there is a staffer on the Hill that tested positive with the coronavirus. They're in Senator Maria Cantwell's office, who represents Washington State. It's kind of a hotbed in our country for where this outbreak started. We don't know who the staffer is. We don't know how they contracted the virus. Were they traveling? Was it because of a tourist who came through their office? There's a lot of unknown. But what the office has said is that this person did not come into contact with the senator or any other member of Congress, and that they have been in isolation since they started to show symptoms. But yeah, it's definitely scary now that it's really here. It's on the Hill.
Well, let's definitely hope that they keep that contained. We know the House, the Senate, and the administration are all working on a relief bill for coronavirus. What can you tell us about where things stand now and when we might possibly see a vote?
Yes, well, Speaker Pelosi and Secretary Mnuchin have been negotiating all week on this relief bill. Now, what we know, House Democrats released text of it last night, and what we saw in it, the bill is designed to provide immediate assistance for the Americans that are affected right now economically, and also health assistance. The bill includes free testing, for example. It also extends paid sick leave. It provides meals to low-income children whose schools are closed and rely on schools for lunches during the day. But of course, with these things, there's always some politics at play here. So some Republicans, particularly Republican senators, have accused Democrats of sneaking extra things into this bill. And there has been some uncertainty expressed if the Republican-controlled Senate will pass it. But hopefully this is such a big issue that they will come up with a true bipartisan solution that the House agrees to, that the Senate agrees to, and that can be signed by the president. The House is expected to vote on the bill tonight, and we know that Speaker Pelosi and Secretary Mnuchin today have been talking and have been trying to work out the issues that Republicans were expressing. And then the Senate, they were supposed to be on recess next week, but Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has canceled that recess. They are going home now, but they will come back so that they can take up this legislation when the House sends it over to the Senate.
Becoming more serious by the day, and today it really seems that much more serious when we woke up this morning. It's been another very wild day on Wall Street. Abigail, what can you tell us about the Fed's response, even as the president pitches his stimulus plan to bolster the economy?
Yes. Well, for the second time this week, the Dow had a dramatic slide that triggered a 15-minute pause. So what we've seen, it plummeted more than 2,200 points at one point. So what we've seen is that the Fed is stepping up, and they're trying to kind of prop up the markets. They injected $1.5 trillion, as we said at the top of the show. And this is hopefully to prevent further unusual disruption in the markets, try and bring the economy some peace during these very turbulent times.
Stability.
Yes.
Definitely peace is what's needed.
Yes.
Abigail Robertson, thank you so much for being here. Nice, pleasure to have you on the set as opposed to Capitol Hill.
Yes, it's fun to be here, I know. Avoiding the Hill right now with the news of the staffer. So.
Yeah.
That's playing it smart.
Wise.
Yes.
Thanks, Abigail.
Thanks, Abby. Well, we now turn to the coronavirus and how it's affecting churches. Should services be held? What about communion? And how can Christians serve in difficult times like these?
Brian Tome is the pastor of one of the fastest growing churches in America, Crossroads Church, based in Cincinnati, and he joins us now. Pastor Tome, it's good to have you. Thank you for being here.
John, great to be with you.
So first, your thoughts on the coronavirus. I know you recently released a video with a message about the panic that we've all been seeing in our communities.
Yeah, I think what we all have to recognize is all leaders, whether they're in government, professional sports league, education, whatever, everyone is in virgin territory right now. Everyone is trying to figure out the best thing to do because none of us have trained for this before. And, we know a lot about the Black Plague and influenza, but we didn't have the understanding of science way back when. So everyone's trying to do the right thing as per their leadership they have, and basically right now flatten the curve. We're trying to keep the curve down because what's going to happen, and this is what the estimates are with many people who understand things, is once the hospitals get too overwhelmed, and people I know are running hospitals, they're close to being overwhelmed already. Once they get overwhelmed and respirators have run out and other things have run out, then we can't get care to our citizens. So the better we can stop the potential spread now, the better off it is. So those of us who are leading things that are larger and can control mass gatherings where things could be spreading, many of us are just making the choice, hey, let's serve our community and just not take a chance on this, especially if we have other means to gather the church and to worship and connect. Pastor
Tome, how do you see this through a spiritual lens?
Well, from a spiritual lens, the scriptures say God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and self-discipline. So I've been the main guy the last several days. I've been criticized for many for not being fear-based and not being freaked out about this. This is not like a fearful thing for me. I ride 80 miles an hour with no helmet on my motorcycle. I'm not a fear guy. We've never canceled ever services because of snow in our area. Never have. This is a different one though, Jenna, because this one's like, man, I don't want people to literally die on my watch because I'm just plowing through. So he's not giving a spirit of fear, but of love. I want to love people, even who don't go to this church. I don't want carriers to possibly get something. Power, I want to use the ability I have right now to make calls that are right, and I want to make it in a self-disciplined way. So this isn't a fear-based move on our part. I'm not saying all churches need to make this move, but for stewarding the responsibilities God given me and the number of people that are under my care in specific environments, we've got some of our environments, the same amount of people you'd have at a college football game, certainly larger than any class. We've got basically campuses, many of our places. So, yes.
Pastor Tom, sorry to interrupt. The church historically has played a role in serving Christians in times like these, especially the sick. And as you were just saying, we don't want to be reckless. So how can Christians, from a practical level, help bring peace in the midst of the panic?
Yeah, this is great. What we're communicating and shutting down services this week, public services this weekend, is Christians need to be engaged. The early church would run to people who were having leprosy because everyone abandoned them. The early church said, no, my Bible tells me to pick up my cross and follow him daily. My Bible tells me to die every day. That's what that means. That means in moments like this, you don't fear for your life. So we should be hugging people who want to be hugged. We should be smiling at all kinds of people. We should not be carriers of fear. We should be carriers of joy, hope, and love. Martin Luther, when things got awful in the Middle Ages with the plague, he took people into his house. Now, he didn't understand all of science, but he took people into his house, actually caused his daughter to die. The rest of them were fine, but all of them were operating boldly. Believers need to be operating boldly. We need to be smiling boldly. We need to be loving our neighbors boldly. We need to be helping people boldly. If we all retreat into our houses and just catacomb ourselves inside of our houses, we're not doing the gospel any favors. Get out there, interact with people, serve people. We just have to be wise when we have events where there's hundreds and thousands of people to gather together. That's probably not that smart.
All right, Pastor Brian Tome of Crossroads Church, thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome.
Well, coming up, our Faith Nation political panel, Chief Political Analyst David Brody joins us to talk about 2020, the coronavirus, and the upcoming debate.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
This is CBN Newswatch.
Thanks for joining us.
Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN Newswatch, because truth matters. Weekdays at 5 on the CBN News Channel.
Yes, right on time.
From Superbook.
Pepper's Pizza Palace is donating pizza for everyone today. Wait. I have big plans today.
Trust in God even when times are tough. He has a plan for your life.
Hey, we're going to be late for the grand opening.
My parents want me to help with this outreach thing, feeding the community. What am I supposed to do here? Superbook!
Join the Superbook Club and get Superbook The Birth of Moses, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25.
Pharaoh ordered all newborn Hebrew boys thrown into the Nile River, and I have a 3-month-old brother.
The Birth of Moses. Yours for a gift of only $25.
What will you do the next time the soldiers come? I do not know, but I trust God has a plan for all of us.
Superbook Club members, free streaming for seasons 1, 2, and 3 is now available.
Welcome back. As Washington grapples with how to deal with the coronavirus, Democrats are looking ahead to the upcoming primaries. Bernie Sanders' campaign could face challenges in Florida, where one poll shows him trailing Joe Biden by 44 points. The Sunshine State's 219 delegates represent key demographics that tend to favor Biden. Politico reporting that although Sanders has done well with Hispanics in other states, that may not be the case in Florida, where recent polls show as much as 34% of Hispanics do not favor a candidate with socialist ideals.
Well, here with more from the campaign is CBN's chief political analyst, David Brody. David, let's start with the debate that's set to take place this Sunday with Sanders and Biden. The coronavirus already having a big impact days before the actual event.
Right. It was supposed to be in Phoenix, Arizona. Now it'll be in Washington, D.C. at CNN headquarters. You know, part of the reason isn't just because of the crowd out in Phoenix, because there wasn't going to be a debate crowd. It was also because of CNN staff. They didn't want to have CNN staff fly out to Arizona and basically kind of quarantine in a way the studio. So that's that. And as for Bernie and Biden, in terms of going head to head, that's really unfortunate for Bernie, because, you know, he can't get the crowd out there, and this is going to feel a little bit like a Sunday talk show more than anything else.
Yeah, as we talk about Bernie and we try to read the tea leaves for 2020, do you think he'll stay in the race?
You know, he'll get out. The question is when and the timing. What I noticed in his statement the other day is that if you start to read those tea leaves a little bit, there was a sense that he was trying to be unifying in terms of, hey, Joe, this is what my supporters want going forward. In other words, if you want me to bring my supporters along, which means you better win in other words, you're only going to win the election if you get my support and my supporters. Here's what we're going to need. And so it was kind of like a laundry list of what to expect. So I think it's short term. In other words, he'll commit through the debate. But look, he's down 44 points.
He's not going to stay in it through the summer like he did in 2016.
That's right. Oh, by the way, he won California officially today, so good for him. a little too late.
Well, today, Joe Biden, he talked about the coronavirus, and this was a moment for him, David, to kind of juxtapose himself to President Trump last night in his national address. How do you think Joe Biden did today?
I thought he did very well, and here's why. The last time I checked, I actually looked in. There was a prompter there. It at least appeared there was a prompter there. Biden much better on prompter. Trump not as good actually on prompter, but Biden much better on prompter. He had the American flag, looked very presidential. Did he go political? Yeah, he did, but you know, that's to be assumed at this point. So, I mean, I thought it was Joe Biden probably at his best, definitely better than ad-libbing on the campaign trail.
How do you think President Trump did last night?
Well, he did what he had to do. I mean, the fact that he held that address from the Oval Office, I thought was important. Really, to me, I don't want to call it a victory, but I mean, I think that's the most important takeaway, that, you know, trying to put a seriousness to it.
The second, he's only done one other, right?
Well, that's right. And so, you know, I just thought he did as good of a job as possible. You know, he's getting some hits today because he talked about, you know, this coming in from Europe and instead of really kind of dealing with the testing and all of that.
What challenges lie ahead for him politically as this thing continues to develop? We don't know when it's going to end. So what lies ahead for him?
Well, he's an eternal optimist. You know, he likes to kind of see the positive in everything. He loves hyperbole, clearly. Look at the crowd size. It's the best crowd size ever. But with the coronavirus, you can't do that, right? I mean, with the coronavirus, it's like, look, there are some stark realities and some facts. And he was not factual at all when it came to the testing aspect of it. He said this last week. He said anybody can be tested in America if they want. And the answer is no. Not everybody can be tested in America, because you actually have to ask your doctor, and then the doctor will say, okay, sure, you can be tested. And guess what? They don't have tests available at the local laboratory. So it's a problem, and Trump needs to be much more careful with his words, because he will get hit politically on this time and time again.
Yeah, transparency is key.
Big time.
Right. David, thank you.
Thanks, David.
We'll be right back.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path. Nigerian Christians are
Christians in Iran are routinely arrested.
Catholic Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Watch Christian World News, Saturday at 5 p.m. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Well, many Europeans are rejecting Christianity and returning to their pagan beliefs from centuries ago.
A young bishop, now known as St. Patrick, traveled from Britain to Ireland to bring the gospel to the Emerald Isle. CBN Films is bringing his amazing story to theaters just in time for St. Paddy's Day.
Martyrs Free Church in Edinburgh, part of the history of Christianity in Scotland. Today it's Frankenstein, which describes itself as both a family-friendly venue and a place for stag parties and bar-top dancers. This is St. Paul's Church in Bristol, England. It's now a school for circus performers. And in Linares, Spain, the Church of Santa Barbara is now Chaos Temple, a skateboard park. But before you get angry with the owners of Frankenstein, understand that Europe today has more empty church buildings than it knows what to do with, because Europe is by and large no longer Christian.
These are the remnants of a lost civilization, Christian civilization. It was once at the very heart of European life and culture. Those days are long gone.
Among the British, belief in the Christian God has plummeted.
The trajectory is very clear. Something like 70–75% of British under 30s say they have no religion.
Theologian Stephen Bullivant, author of Mass Exodus, says Europe's move away from Christianity is accelerating.
People often ask me, especially in the Catholic Church, it's kind of, what can we do to kind of bring everyone back, And half serious, I always say, well, invest in time machine technology.
The data is clear. Christianity in Europe is dying.
Dr. Harvey Kwiani, professor of African Christianity and Theology at Liverpool Hope University, is from the Christian nation of Malawi. He says moving to what he calls Britain's pagan culture was a shock.
Growing up in Africa, growing up in Malawi, Christianity is exploding. The median age of an African Christian is 19. Coming to Europe, these are post-Christian people. They have moved away from Christianity. I teach students who would tell me I'm a third, fourth generation pagan in my family.
God is still moving in Europe, but the larger culture has been lost. And although some governments might still be officially Christian, they are now openly persecuting Christians.
What is hard for people in America to understand is that people in Great Britain really have no notion of what Christianity is.
Attorney Andrea Williams of Christian Concern in London spends much of her time defending clients like Christian doctor David Makareth, who, because of his Christian beliefs, refused to call a transgender man a woman and was fired.
In essence, I'm now being compelled to say things which I cannot say. But when I'm told to call a man a woman or call a woman a man, they're pushing my conscience where it cannot go, because I could not serve my Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ, and do that.
It's the same story for Christians across Europe. In Finland, a Christian member of parliament faces possible prison time for simply tweeting Bible verses that condemn homosexuality. And Bullivant warns it will probably get worse as Europe returns to its pagan roots.
At the end of that road culturally, I think, is probably 80–90% no religion.
And so to convince them to pay attention to Christianity again is a challenge.
Only a radical revival can change that. But if we don't, then it's going to get darker yet.
There is hope for Europe, and it could be in something missions leaders called the Blessed Reflex. It was the prayer of early missionaries like William Carey and David Livingstone that one day the gospel would return from the mission fields of Africa and Asia to re-evangelize Europe. And there are signs the Blessed Reflex has already begun. Dale Hurd, CBN News, London.
And the new docudrama from CBN Films is called I Am Patrick. It will be in theaters for 2 nights only, March 17th and 18th. Tickets are now on sale. Make sure to reserve your seats today. Go to iampatrick.com for showtimes and locations.
Coming up, a powerful hand-washing solution with technology that could help destroy the coronavirus. We'll tell you more about it and where it's being made after this.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link, Tuesday nights at 6:30.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Protect your sleep and live your best life with innovative information from 5 leading sleep experts.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
Discover a sleep-enhancing bedtime routine, how to put insomnia to rest, learn how to relieve pain that disturbs sleep, and much more in Protect Your Sleep.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Don't miss out on this brand new series.
Finally tonight, an Israeli company says it's using technology for hand washing that will destroy the coronavirus and even stronger viruses.
The company Soapy developed the hand washing station of the same name. Developers say it can knock out viruses that are much stronger than COVID-19.
That's incredible. It pulls water from the air and combines it with a plant-based disinfectant and the right amount of soap and wash time. I think that's important.
You can find more about that story at cbnnews.com.